Match day 15 and 16 of Conmebol World Cup qualifiers provides even more storylines. A massive game between Venezuela and Bolivia to see who can grab the playoff spot. Can Colombia regain some form? And yes, Carlo Ancelotti makes his debut with the Seleção. Welcome to the preview and prediction for the Conmebol World Cup qualifiers June edition. Let me know your predictions in the comments down below, and will we see some nations qualify in this window? Let me know your predictions in the comments down below. Let's get to the predictions. Before we go into the predictions, we got to see an overview of what's at stake in this window. So we all obviously know Argentina have qualified. Then there's Ecuador, Uruguay, Brazil, and Paraguay. They could possibly be qualifying to the World Cup from this window. Colombia, they got to regain some form here, people. They have been on a horrific streak recently after their wonderful run in 2023 to 2024. But 2025 and the later parts of 2024 have not been Colombia that we know. So they got to pick up some points here, because if somehow they drop points in both games in this window and Venezuela just get one win or possibly two wins, Colombia could be in the playoff spot. Let's not talk about that. Let's not speak that into existence. And then the big game, like I talked about, Venezuela versus Bolivia. Whoever wins that game takes control of the playoff spot. And Peru and Chile, they still have one last opportunity to get into the playoff spot. So first off, Argentina, they've already qualified to the World Cup. As we know, Scaloni is continuously rotating the team. He's even called up Franco Mastantuono from River Plate. I'm so happy about that. Lomanoco, the wonderful center back from Independiente. I've not seen him play a lot, but I see Argentinians raving about him all the time. You saw his performance away against Boca in the playoff. We don't know what they do in Argentina with the league anymore. It changes every single month. But that performance he put up, well, I'm excited to see him if he can make his debut for the national team. And, you know, Argentina and Scaloni, they're doing the right thing here. Keep on rotating the team. Bring in the new fresh blood, the Nico Paz, last time around, Maximo Perrone. Now this time, Franco Mastantuono. I mean, the guy is just such a baller. That's why PSG want to spend 45 million. He's now going to play with Messi. Messi returns to the national team. They got Chile. They should be winning that game because Chile are terrible. Yes, it's a derby, and I understand that, but Argentina are far superior to Chile right now. That should be maybe 2-1 because it will be a competitive game. I mean, Argentina on a roll right now. 3 wins in a row. Last window, they scored 5 goals, conceded 1. They beat Uruguay. They beat Brazil 4-1. I mean, this team are just full of confidence with the new players that are involved in this national team. And it's a joy to watch them. I think Argentinians now are excited to watch their national team. Ever since the dire times of Sampaoli, 6 years later or 7 years later, look at where we're at right now, people. Then they have Colombia at home. Maybe a little bit of revenge because of what happened in Barranquilla earlier on in these qualifiers after the Copa America. And I expect Argentina to win because they're just a dominant home team. Colombia, they'll make it tough, but Argentina, man, maybe Messi will make the difference. Maybe we can see Franco make the difference off the bench. Thiago Almada, Julian, look at the names I'm saying here, people. Argentina are just blessed with individual difference makers, and they all just want to represent their national team. It's a beautiful thing to see. Argentina should be winning that game against Colombia. I see another 6-point window for them. I think they'll win 3-1 against Colombia. This is probably the biggest window in Bolivian football history since 1994 qualifiers. They have to beat Venezuela, and they have to beat a putrid Chile right here. If Bolivia can win both of these games, remember when they won those 3 games in a row? They beat Chile, they beat Venezuela, they beat Colombia. Wow, Bolivians, and we all thought as neutrals, maybe Bolivia are going to do it. Maybe they're going to return to the World Cup for the first time in 30 years. Since then, L, draw. That draw they had against Uruguay, where they peppered them. They absolutely peppered them, and they couldn't score the goals in El Alto, and that cost them dearly, I think. I think that draw against Uruguay could come back to hurt Bolivia, because if they won that game, all they need to do going away to Venezuela, just get a draw. Now, they have to win. If they lose this game against Vinotinto, I think it's done for Bolivia. They need a great performance from Miguel Terceros. If he doesn't show up, this team can't do anything. And if you look at their form recently away from home, they lost 3-1 to Peru, 4-0 to Ecuador, 6-0 to Argentina, since they won that historic game in Chile. I don't know if Bolivia are going to win this game. They're a very entertaining team, especially at sea level. They're defensively naive, but they are still decent going forward, and they have some dangerous forwards. But Bolivia are just not a cohesive team away from home. I expect them to thrash Chile at home. I'm telling you right now, that game is going to be 3-0 Bolivia. I don't care what anybody says because Chile just cannot compete against Bolivia in the altitude. That's why I'm saying this game against Venezuela, if somehow they just win, what a day for Bolivian football. What a day it would be. I don't think that's going to happen though. I think it's going to be Venezuela 2-1 and Bolivia pick up 3 points. They are just slightly behind Venezuela heading into the final 2 match days, but I think their dream is over. Carlo Ancelotti, you're not going to have it easy. I'm telling you right now, to all Brazilians, this is not going to be easy. You're going away to Guayaquil and you're playing Ecuador, and then you're going to host Paraguay, Paraguayan team that are on a roll with Gustavo Alvaro. If you're Carlo, these are the 2 worst games almost you don't want to face right now. You would have rather faced Chile at home, go away to Venezuela or something. Going away to Ecuador, and we know the defensive shape they have and the defensive players they have at their disposal, and they're such a good team defensively, and they just need the 1 goal from the GOAT, Eno Valencia, and they can win the game. And then you're playing Paraguay with the role they're on at the moment. This is going to be difficult for Carlo, and I'm so intrigued to see what he does with the lineup, because we know people. There's no Rodrigo, and I don't know what he's going to do with the midfield. He called back up Casemiro, Anthony, these sort of players, but you just look at the fullbacks, and they're not good enough. And that could be exposed in this window again. How is Carlo going to fix this team? He cannot go man-to-man pressing because some people will highlight, yes, Carlo doesn't have the greatest pressing scheme. I mean, look at what Dorival was serving up. I mean, the guy was serving up nothing. It was a Sai with nothing on the plate. That was Dorival. So Carlo can bring some confidence back to these players. That's what they desperately need. Confidence. Start the Matias Cunha. He had a great game, I thought, against Argentina because everybody else around him was trash. Start Matias Cunha. Get the confidence back into Vinicius Jr. with the national team and see what you can do, Carlo. But he needs to find the perfect blend in the midfield, and you're just going to have to survive somehow with the fullbacks because they're just not good enough. But you're going away to Ecuador. I don't think this is going to be easy whatsoever for Brazil. I'm almost kind of saying that this could end 1-0 for Ecuador, or it will be a 1-1. I just think people are very hyped about Carlo entering the job, and rightfully so, because, I mean, look at the previous managers that Brazil have had. Fernando Diniz to Dorival, they're just not at the level to Carlo. But also, this Brazilian team is not the level that we are used to. I think they have the talent in the attack, the center backs, and the goalkeeper, but it's just that midfield and the fullbacks that can get exposed. And when you're going up against an Ecuador team that are defensively sound like they are, you're going to find it difficult to score a goal. I'm going to say Brazil lose that game, and then they host Paraguay. And we know Paraguay right now, I mean, they are on a roll with Gustavo Alvaro, whether it's at home or away. And I feel like Brazil are going to find it very difficult in that game as well. I'm telling you, this is not going to be an easy window for Carlo. I just want to see something in the midfield. Whether it's Casemiro, Andre Santos, and whoever in the 10 role, try that at least. Or try, Estevao out wide and put maybe Rafinha in the 10. Carlo just has to try something. He has to... Andre Santos needs to start these games. I don't care. You've tried Gerson, who was pretty decent, I thought, in his performances. Andres Pereira, we know is not good enough. Ederson for Atalanta, good player. I just think we need to see Andre Santos. Yes, he's only had 1 appearance with the national team. The guy deserves some playing time with this national team to see if he's ready. Because the others have shown they are not ready for this stage. Carlo, you're going to find it tough against Paraguay. I don't know why. Maybe Carlo can just get the better of Gustavo Alvaro, or he's just going to be drawn away and all his mystic powers are going to be taken away by the presence of Gustavo Alvaro, the professor. And I feel like this is going to be 1-1. I think this is going to be only a 1-point window for Carlo, but people should not get overreactionary about the situation. Oh my God, look, Carlo can't do it. He's a fraud of a manager. This is going to take time right now. And that's why I said this is good that they are a year out and they can start the rebuild. They can start finding the perfect lineup, and Carlo has to do that right now. But these 2 games, they are tough, very tough. And especially going into Conmebol football that Carlo has never experienced, where he's going to the crazy humidity of Guayaquil. Good luck, Carlo. I'm saying a 1-point window. Let me know your thoughts, people. I don't think I need to waste time here. Look, Chile have just been a disaster recently. Yeah, they had a better performance, I thought, against Ecuador, but that game away to Paraguay, yeah, you're competitive for 1 half, but Careca is just on borrowed time. He's just on borrowed time. He's just a choripan with no sausage right now, no chorizo. It's just like tuna fillet in the choripan. That's Gareca. Some decent players like the Osorio, Aravena up front, but overall, this team, they just lack the balance. They lack the fight. And if they were really serious about them, they would try and beat Argentina, who have already qualified to the World Cup. Then you're going to wait to El Alto. I think Gareca is going to get sacked after this window. I think they're going to pull the plug, find some other manager, and they need to just find a totally new rebuild. Just bring in all new players, except for the youngsters on this team, because we know Chile cannot score a goal. For Chile to score 9 goals in 14 games is putrid. Yes, and most of them have come at home as well. Like 8 of those goals have come at home. So do you think they're going to El Alto and scoring a goal? I don't think so. I mean, at least Eduardo Vargas didn't get called up. But I mean, look at the other forwards. Alexis Sanchez still, I love the guy. One of the greatest players in Conmebol history. But I mean, he cannot help this team right now. Nothing will help Chile. I want to be positive, right? I love Chile. I think they were an amazing national team. But Chile right now are going through a poor period, and I don't see anything that's going to save them. That's why I'm looking at Osorio and Aravena and saying, you guys just do your best and see what can happen in this window. Honestly, I think this is going to be a 0-point window for Chile. Another manager who's under huge pressure is Nestor Lorenzo. I mean, they have not been playing well recently. Defensively, there are shambles. Absolute shambles. You saw the game against Paraguay. You saw the game away to Brazil. Like, this team can't defend. And they haven't won a game in 4. 3-2 lost to Uruguay. Then they lost to Ecuador with Jon Cordoba having a crazy miss. They were playing against 10 men for almost 80 minutes. It was terrible from Colombia. They lose to Brazil. The 2-2 draw with Paraguay. How do you fix this team? One, you just got to fix the defense. Once the defense is fixed, I think that can help them build the confidence once more. Because Colombia got the players and they haven't been playing bad. You could say they've been getting unlucky, but it's also defensively just the mental lapses and the individual mistakes consistently are hurting this side. Now, they're given a gift here. You're playing Peru at home. I mean, if this is not a Colombia win, I would seriously push the panic button on Nestor Lorenzo as the manager. Yes, we have to go to that, people. It's been 1 win in 6 games. 1 win in 6 games. This cannot continue for a side that made the final of the Copa America and pushed it to extra time against Argentina. With the players they got. James, Diaz, Duran. Come on, man. Richard Rios. Like, Richard Rios, love the player. I think he's going to have a good window because recently, I haven't watched him at Palmeiras, but at least for the national team, I haven't seen that same level compared to 2024. He's got to step up, and defensively, with no Mojica, who will play at left back. Now, Nestor Lorenzo, you're paid the big bucks, and now you have to show for it. They will beat Peru in this window. Hands down. If they don't, boy oh boy, it could be reminiscent of that 2022 World Cup qualifiers where they went on that streak of 7 games with no goals, and it just looked like such a dire situation. I wonder if it's the same thing here. The problem is not goal scoring. It's defensively. They have fallen off a cliff compared to the Copa America where they were resolute. And I mean, Sanchez and they were all Yerry Mina. They were defensively so good. They need to step up here. And their players are on form, like a Daniel Munoz, who had a great season with Crystal Palace. And he could be a huge difference maker in this game. I think they will beat Peru, like let's say 3-1 in this matchup. I think Jon Duran will continue his form for the national team. Now going away to Argentina, I don't really see it here for Colombia. I really don't. I think it's going to be an absolutely entertaining game. And this is a game you have to watch if you don't really follow Conmebol football. Argentina versus Colombia will be absolute cinema. But for this matchup, I think Argentina will win 3-1. Colombia get 3 points. Maybe that will be enough to qualify to the World Cup from this window. If not, definitely in June. But if I see some positive signs, that's good. They just got to rectify the situation right now because Colombia are struggling defensively. So Becasese, I think, has done a decent job so far with Ecuador. And the GOAT, Ener Valencia, continues to do his thing. Again, like, this guy cannot stop scoring. Yes, he didn't score against Chile. But I thought the Chile game, it was probably Ecuador's worst game of the entire qualifiers. Yeah, defensively, they were a little bit shaky at times. But going forward, I mean, nothing. Nothing. And that is always going to be the thing with this Ecuadorian team. Where are the goals going to come from? 13 goals in 14 games, but look at the defensive stat, people. 5 goals conceded. 5! I mean, it's stupid how good they are defensively. And they've kept 3 clean sheets, or 4 clean sheets in the last 5 games. I mean, they're so good. And now you're seeing William Pacho to Moises Caicedo winning European competitions. I mean, they're on the up, and they're on the rise, this national team. But now I need to see something at home against Brazil. If they can beat Brazil at home, especially with Carlo Ancelotti's hype train that is going on right now, they can die that down immediately with one game. And I think that would be a huge statement for these players. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Gonzalo Plata because there was some situation with Flamengo saying he was injured and that Ecuadorian national team shouldn't play him. I don't know what's going to happen there. So maybe that gives an opportunity to Yon Yoboa, who really hasn't got an opportunity under Becasese, and can Eno Valencia continue his great form. I think now they found a good balance in the midfield because Pedro Vite, the rise of him, the Vancouver Whitecaps player, I mean, that guy's a baller. No wonder he's being linked to AS Roma and Serie A clubs because that guy can complement so well to Moises Caicedo. I don't know what's going to happen against Brazil, but honestly, I think they're going to beat Brazil. And I think it's going to be a typical Ecuadorian encebollado ceviche sort of performance. They're going to win 1-0. And that would be a statement, I think, for this. Now, if somehow Ecuador won like 3-0 to really rub it into Carlo Ancelotti and his debut, oh my, this team are going to be full of confidence heading into the World Cup, and they just got to continue that train. Then they go away to Peru. That could be a little bit tough because, you know, recently with the away games, Ecuador just are not the greatest away side. They only have one win in the last 5 games. They drew away to Venezuela 0-0. They lost to Brazil 1-0. They've only scored 1 goal in their last 5 away games. Somebody's got to step up. Other than Eno Valencia, can Pacho, can Hincapie score from a corner? Something at least. They have some threat on set pieces. Going away to Peru, who are not the greatest defensively, I just don't trust Ecuador away from home at all. I think 1-1 will be a fair result. 4 points from this window should be enough to qualify for the World Cup once again. Is the professor going to continue his insane form with Paraguay? He's been in charge now for 8 games. 4 wins and 4 draws. The dude is a maestro. The dude is the ultimate professor. Gustavo Alvaro is doing magic with this team. The turnaround we have seen for Paraguay has been amazing. And they could qualify to the World Cup from this window. If they do it, what an achievement. And returning to the World Cup for the first time since 2010, it would be sensational. They're going up against Uruguay and away to Brazil. Not the easiest of windows here. But honestly, with the form both teams are showing, you fancy very much Paraguay to beat Uruguay. And look at that performance away from home against Colombia. 2-0 down, resolute, and just going for the game. Going for the game, and Julio Enciso with his wonderful individual brilliance. And I'm happy to see that Gustavo Gomez should be back for this window. That's a huge plus because he's just such an imperial presence in the defense. And I think it's just a similar situation here for Paraguay. Can they just continue this good form? And a huge statement victory would be beating Brazil away. I think they're going to beat Uruguay 1-0 or maybe 2-0 in that matchup because Uruguay, I mean, they need God right now at the moment. Going away to Brazil, like I said for the Brazil one, I think it's either going to be a 2-1 Brazil win or a 1-1. I think a 1-1, again, a good result away from home for Paraguay. And that might be enough to qualify for the World Cup. And look, these players deserve it. I think Gustavo Alvaro fully deserves it. They have just had such a turnaround, and the confidence they show each window to play the way they are, it's magical to watch. And are we going to see even more magic from Julio Enciso during this window? Because he's had a pretty decent loan at Ipswich Town. I think he deserves a move away from Brighton because he just needs first-team football all the time. But I think it will be a 4-point or a 3-point window here for Paraguay. Are they going to go 10 games unbeaten with Gustavo Alvaro? It was a pretty decent window for Oscar Ibanez in his debut with Peru in the last window. You know, you only lost away to Venezuela through a penalty with Rondon. Then you beat Bolivia 3-1. So at least they scored goals. At least they showed some confidence. And they actually showed some decent football away from the dinosaur Fossati. And we saw a pretty decent window from Andre Carrillo to Andy Polo. They at least added some new dimension to this Peruvian team because they've been lacking it so much throughout this window. Paulo Guerrero getting his goals in the last window, but I find it difficult going away to Colombia and beating Colombia, even though they have gone through a little bit of a rough spot recently. But Peru hosting Ecuador, I don't know why. I feel like Peru can win that game. I think it's either going to be a draw or a Peruvian win here, but I just don't see that win. They just don't have enough goal scorers on their team. I think defensively they can be resolute. Tapia being back in the national team at least helps control and being a bit more of a defensive presence in the midfield. They desperately needed Tapia back. So at least he's back, but I just feel like it's still going to be a struggle this window for Peru. They are not at that level anymore that they were in 2018 to 2022. I feel like this is going to be a 1-point window. and their World Cup dreams should be over after that. This is the window now for Marcelo Bielsa. He has to change the narrative about him. You have to find some form with this national team. And look, going forward, they're not the greatest. He hasn't installed enough confidence into other players on this national team, and it's backfiring right now on Marcelo Bielsa. That window they had in March was horrific. That performance at home to Argentina was horrible. They should have gotten killed away in the altitude, out in space, 3-4-0. Because right now, the ship is sinking. And this is still going to be a tough window. I mean, going away to Paraguay and the way they're playing, and with the way Uruguay are playing, you really do not fancy Uruguay in this game. I would be honestly shocked if they won it. Not that they're not a good team or they're not talented enough, but the way they have been playing, and they don't look like they're going to score at all in these qualifiers, I would be very worried if I was Uruguayan. I think it's going to be a 3-point window. I think they're going to beat Venezuela, maybe 2-0 or 3-0 in that matchup, but they have to find something going forward. They have to find some better combination play. Darwin Núñez needs to regain his form from the national team. What other players could step up? Look, defensively, they are a sound team, but it's now about the goal scoring. That is completely dried up compared to where we were at the beginning of Marcelo Bielsa and Uruguay. As much as I love Bielsa, he needs to change something right now. Otherwise, if they somehow don't win either of these games in this window, he might be gone. Because Uruguay have a talented team, but they're not playing like that at all right now. So let's see. This is going to be a very intriguing window for Marcelo Bielsa and his team, and they got to at least beat Vinotinto at home. If you can't beat Vinotinto at home, you deserve the sacking. And this is probably the biggest window in Vinotinto's history. If they beat Bolivia at home, that will at least get the gap to 4 points with 3 games to go. So this is a massive window, and getting that victory at home against Peru, hopefully it brings some confidence back to this team, because that was the thing that was lacking for them. Confidence. It's not about player personnel or about tactics. Maybe a little bit more tactics also with Batista, but they were looking like such a fragile team after all the confidence they had from the Copa America completely wiped away. Now that they beat Peru with the penalty from Rondon, can they do it? Can they beat Bolivia at home? I mean, if you cannot beat Bolivia at home, you should not be qualifying to the Intercontinental Playoff or the World Cup at all. So is it crazy enough to say that that Bolivia game is the most important in Venezuela's history? I know they played in the Copa America semifinal back in 2011, but this game is everything. Look at what Soteldo told you back in last year when they were at the Copa America. I would rather qualify to the World Cup than win the Copa America. That just shows it's everything about making it to the World Cup. So if you drop points at home to Bolivia, and mind you, the last 3 games for Vinotinto, Uruguay away, Argentina away, Colombia at home. They have to win this game, because I can guarantee you Bolivia will somehow win those 2 games in interstellar settings. All the preparation, all the tactics. Okay, if you lose away to Uruguay, it's fine. Just beat Bolivia at home. I think Segovia needs to start in this game. We don't need to see Jose Martinez up front. The guy is not that same striker anymore. Let Rondon do his thing. Let Sotendino cook out wide. Let Severino cook in the number 10 role or out wide on the right. And just bring in Segovia. And I think this Venezuelan team can really score some goals against Bolivia at home. I think they're going to win that game. And I think it will be the biggest victory in their history. I'm not saying scoreline-wise, but just meaningfulness, the impact that this result could have on the trajectory of Venezuelan football. It is the biggest game in their history. I think they will win 3-1, and they should be cementing themselves into that playoffs for the Intercontinental, and I think they will lose away to Uruguay. But if Venezuela just get 3 points in this window, it is a massive, massive dub for them. And if Rondon continues his form, like the guy still is scoring goals, and he's such a difference maker for this team. If they didn't have Rondon, I don't think Vinotinto would qualify to the World Cup. I really don't, because he's such a difference maker. And obviously you got likes of Aramburu, Herrera in the midfield, but it's just all about Rondon. It would be such a special moment for him to at least get to the playoff for the Intercontinental. And I think Vinotinto, they get 3 points. So there we have it, people. The preview and prediction for the Conmebol World Cup Qualifiers June window. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which team desperately needs a victory in this window? Is it Bolivia, Ecuador? You could say Venezuela, you could say Colombia. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course follow me on all the socials. Instagram, Twitter, I'll be definitely tweeting and sharing some posts about the Conmebol World Cup qualifiers during the window. And if you haven't done so already, join the Discord. All those links, description down below. But have a beautiful day, stay safe in this crazy world. Till next time, adios.